After giving more than 30 talk show interviews in Europe, Norbert Heuser, a German entrepreneur, is now here on the Tan Talk Radio Network with his own show, Improve Your Life, covering many total different subjects and introducing many people from all walks of life. And now, here's Norbert Heuser.
Cell phones, smartphones, whatever you call them, everybody uses them. I mean, everybody. Everybody uses them. Problem is that people do not understand, most of the people do not understand, that every cell phone harms your body. Every cell phone harms your body. There are plenty of proofs, plenty, hundreds and thousands of proofs, but you don't see them on CNN or the mass media because they would spoil the business. Now, the cell phones as we use them today, and you heard a lot about 5G, right? You heard a lot about 5G, 4G, and so on and so on and so on and so on. What does that mean, 1G, 4G, and so on? The first generation of cell phones came out in around 1981, where I was involved already, 1981. It was the first generation called 1G. Then 1992 came the second generation, which was called 2G. So the G stands only for the generation, nothing else. Then we had 3G, and for the last 10 years, we had 4G. For 10 years, we had 4G, and now we started last year with 5G, the fifth generation. Now, with every generation of mobile phones, they became more dangerous, more unhealthy, more harmful, not only to the human body, but to nature, animal, plants alike. As we speak, I am executing a test in Europe where I show, and I have a few days, I have the results and the photos, where I show how a electromagnetic radiation, which is called electromagnetic radiation, which the cell phones and Wi-Fi need, how these influence the culture of plants. And we took two sprout plants sections, one exposed to electromagnetic radiation, means Wi-Fi, cell phones, and one being protected from it. And I will present you very soon these results on my website and maybe in a show. So every cell phone is harmful, every cell phone. Do you feel it? Some people do. The problem is you cannot smell or taste it or feel it, to the most part. Some people can who are very sensitive. And more people contact me and ask me about this. All right. And that you don't feel it does not mean that it's not harming your body. The results come with a latency of 10, 20 years. Like if somebody is an alcoholic, his liver cirrhosis will not kick in after 1-2 years of alcohol. The body first fights back. The body fights back, tries to overcome the problem, till one day the body says, hey, I give up. I can't handle it anymore. Sorry, bye-bye. And folds. And the same happens with mobile phones and this, what we call electromagnetic radiation. So we have a natural, I try to keep the technology as short as I can to stay in the practical part. We have a natural electromagnetic radiation in our bodies from about 80 microwatt per square meter. Like you measure the speed of a car with miles per hour, or you weight with pounds. So you measure the electromagnetic radiation in microwatt per square meter. That's an international standard. And we have about 80 to 100 in our body naturally, which is fine. Then, as we expose ourselves, we should not expose ourselves to more than 100, maybe 120. But that should be the top of our exposure to this dangerous influence. Keep this in mind, 100 to 120. To international standards, everything more than 1,000 is extremely harmful. Everything more than 1,000. Not more 100 you should do, 120. More than 1,000 is harmful extremely. When we make a cell phone call, we have 2,000 to 4,000 exposing our body to it. When we drive an electric car, we have 4,000 to 10,000, 8,000. Electric car is the devil. I will talk about this in the next show. Maybe not today. People think electric car is cool. I'll get you some information to think twice about the electric car. It's a big charade. It's a fraud. But why? I explain this in my second show, in the next show. Okay, so these are the exposures we extremely have this done to our bodies all the time, 24/7. Because even if you don't make a cell phone call, even if you switch off your cell phone, there's somebody next to you who has a cell phone. And there is plenty of Wi-Fi all around you. Now, Wi-Fi is, of course, the big problem. Not the cell phone itself is the problem. The Wi-Fi is the problem. Because you have Wi-Fi everywhere. So where is the Wi-Fi electromagnetic radiation involved? It's involved in smartphones, mobile, all kinds of mobile phones. It's involved in smart meters. You know, smart meters nowadays, they put on your house a meter which reads the electrical usage you have or water. So they don't need to come by and read it manually by a person. They do it from the computer, from the central office. Of course, it creates more unemployment. That's fine. We know that. That's okay, right? Unemployment is okay. And you have another Wi-Fi product at your house which bombards your health. And if you don't have it yet, trust me, it's coming. It's coming all over the world. So you have electromagnetic radiation, mobile phone, smartphone, Wi-Fi, smart meters, transmission towers everywhere. It's crazy. I'll talk about this later. Microwave oven, big time, bad time. Electric car, even every combustion chamber car, the regular gas car, creates electromagnetic radiation. Buses, airplanes, radars, solar systems, everything creates electromagnetic radiation. And it has huge effects on not only the people, but plants alike, animals, and water. Electromagnetic radiation kills the water structure in your body. It does more than that, and we're going to list that later on. So that's electromagnetic radiation, and it's enormous. But the most people ignore it. They don't care. They think it's not a big deal. They just ignore it. I have myself on my websites, protectpro.net, you see dozens of information and tests. I'll give you a dozen of videos. Among others, the American Senator Patrick Colbeck from the Michigan House of Representatives, who strongly opposes that this country will have 5G. You have a gentleman called Barry Trower. Barry Trower is a whistleblower from the British Army. He was involved in the development of electromagnetic radiation as a weapon. Professor Olle Johansson from Sweden, he is highly specialized in this, and he knows a lot about the situation on children. Dr. Devra Lee Davis, great woman, she's on my website. So if you go on my website, you see all these people, and I loaded down for you YouTube interviews or statements they made. Please listen to them. These people are competent. I'm just a small guy, but these people are highly competent. The problem is that the majority of all scientists, let's say 99% of all scientists, are either paid by the government or by the private industry. And these scientists deliver to the people who give them their income what these people want to hear and listen to, which is in many parts, most parts, as regards to cell phones, not the truth. It is not the truth at all. They're lying through the wazoo. And why do they lie? Because it's business. It's business, and people want to make money. Now, the 5G, which is around right now, creates the worst challenge in modern history mankind has ever had. They sell you the idea, oh, you can download a video in 15 seconds instead of 3 minutes. When you go shopping, you can check with your fridge how many milk is there, how many paper roll in the toilet is still there. And people say, oh, that's great, I love that. Yeah, but they sell you, that's a bait for you to agree. While the shutdown was going around the world with Corona, little people have realized that in that shutdown situation, they used the time to set up these towers for 5G all over the places, all over the world. They used that time to secretly, quickly, without public eye, watching them set up these towers. Amazing. Absolutely amazing what they did. And it is for me criminal, okay? All right. So the problem is you don't want to give up your Wi-Fi. Nobody wants. I don't want. For my job, I need Wi-Fi and cell phone. So who wants to give up cell phone and Wi-Fi? Basically nobody. And even if you would not use a cell phone, even if you say, I switch off my Wi-Fi at nighttime, at daytime you're exposed, so what the hell? But if you switch it off your Wi-Fi, you will have 5, 10, 20 neighbors around you who will have a Wi-Fi going on. So that you switch off your Wi-Fi doesn't mean a lot, because the Wi-Fi of the neighbors are just penetrating you as well. So that's not the solution. But most of us need Wi-Fi for their jobs, for their pleasure, for their entertainment. It's sexy, it's fluffy, it's entertaining. But let me assure you, there's plenty of proof that we kill ourselves with this technology. There's no question. Now, I give you a piece of information, and I don't care if you don't trust me, that's okay, is a book called 5G. This book was written by a Officer Flynn from the Canadian Army. He's a whistleblower. And it's the most impressive book I ever found, where you have all the information, what's going on, what's really going on. And I highly encourage you to buy this book and read it. If you don't trust me, that's okay. Read the book. He's a whistleblower from the Army. He was involved in applying this technology, because what has happened is what we call now 5G is not new. It's around with the armies since the early 60s. Already in 1952, the American government, during that what we call the Cold War, the American government had a secret meeting with the Russian government in Mexico in 1952. And the Russians warned the warned the American government not to use or to be aware of how dangerous the electromagnetic radiation is. And the Americans, of course, didn't listen. Funny enough, the Russian government bombarded the American embassy for many 10, 20 years with electromagnetic radiation and caused dozens and dozens of cancer problems among the American staff members. That is the situation. So, having all said that, 5G is not new. It's been around, and Barry Trower, who is a Secret Service man from the British Army and a whistleblower, a nice, gentle, older man, he was involved in the development from electromagnetic radiation as a weapon. And he, of course, now is a whistleblower and says, oh, crap, And he admits that the British Army has used these weapons against the Northern Ireland Catholics and killed them. So whatever happens is that the armies are developing technologies. It's all the armies because they have all the funds, not the industry. The armies of this world have the funds from the government. They develop technology, and then they take this technology eventually and sell it to the public-private industry. And the private industry cranks it up and makes loads of money with it. Now, you must imagine in America, we have a population of give and take 330 million people. 330 million people. And right now, we have approximately 360 million cell phones in use. More than population. Why? Because many people have 2 or 3 cell phones. Now, the market, the volume is still going up. They're still selling more cell phones. How so? Well, the adults all have their cell phones. The teenagers have all their cell phones, trust me. And the children now and the babies. This is where the industry makes most of their money nowadays, because the market is going bigger and bigger and bigger. Parents, if you see nowadays toddlers in the street, in their buggies, sitting, the parents give them the smart phones and tablets to entertain themselves, play some games, see some movies, whatever. So more and more toddlers have their own cell phone. And even as bad as it is, a lot of people take their cell phones at nighttime to bed. Teenagers, because they don't want to miss any message, and use it as an alarm clock under their pillow. Sorry, this is one of the most stupid things people ever came across. It's suicide. It's a long-term suicide. And you know, the more I watch our society, the more I have that thought, we deserve it. We deserve to vanish from this planet. I mean, now we're killing the oceans. We have microplastics everywhere in water, in the air, and the oceans. We can't even eat any food from the oceans anymore, really, because it's so bad. We have chemtrails. Our food is questionable, even in what we call health food store. Our organic food is questionable. So we're killing ourselves. And the cell phones is a part of it. And you know what? It's a funny suicide. I have lots of fun with my smartphone, and I'm going to die, yes, but that's okay. And I don't know of what I die, because the consequences for everybody is different. Everybody doesn't have the same consequences by using cell phone. However, interesting enough, the number one reason in Australia for children to die, the number one reason in Australia for children to die is brain tumor. Wow. Now tell me how that comes up. Brain tumor. You can connect the dots by chance to cell phones, especially with children, young children, babies, toddlers. What we call the brain barrier is not fully developed. So especially babies and pregnant women are the most vulnerable with this technology. A technology which makes our life fluffy, sexy, smart, but is harmful. This society has not understood not everything we can do, we should do. Not everything we can do, we should do. The question is, does it make sense? And is it harmful? That's all. If it's not harmful, have my blessing. And you need to know that no cell phone company ever had to prove that a cell phone is harmless. No company had to prove that. No FDA gets involved. Nobody gets involved. They let them do the business. We know that at the moment, we have about 7 billion cell phones on this planet. 7 billion. Now, with the change of 5G, somebody who's in business and has a calculator means that all the people who had now a 4G phone will have to change over to 5G. A lot of them voluntarily do it because they want to be sexy. They want to have the latest version. Oh, I need 5G. I need 5G, right? Especially the teenagers, I guess. It's a status symbol. So there will be a change from 4G to 5G phones. Please put your brains in. That means a guaranteed business for 7 billion new cell phones. Business, money, follow the money. These people have no ethics. They don't care whether you die or not. They don't give a damn. They make money. Example, a former friend of mine was involved with a cell phone company which was famous at the beginning of cell phones. It was called Ericsson from Europe. He worked for Ericsson. And he told me that they put several cell phones against the head of pigs and tighten them and switch it on and let the pigs run around for a certain amount of times, and they may test them frequently. At the end of the day, they took the pigs, killed them, cut off the brain, the skull, the head, opened it up, and saw how deep these frequencies would penetrate the brain of the animals. So we're talking here 30, 40 years ago. So they already knew. It's the same with the cigarette industry. The cigarette industry knew. They always knew. And it took ages till they finally were crucified in court and were completely with the back to the wall, and things fell apart. They always knew. But you say, well, who would do that? Well, people who have no ethics, where money, control, power is more important than anything else. That's their motivation. Business, it's not ethics. It's not what's right. Now, I myself don't think that I'm a tree hugger. I was one of the very first person in Germany. I guess the year was 1980. When I had one of the first mobile phones in the world, which was a big clumsy thing you put in the back of your car, or you could take it off on a strap and walk around with it. First, I didn't want to buy it because it was so expensive. It was about $10,000 at that time. 40 years ago, $10,000 was a lot of money. And I was hesitant because it looked like, like you are GR from Dynasty. You are a big shot. And I wasn't a big shot. I was doing well. Okay, good. But I didn't show it. I didn't need to show it. So it took me a while till I made a decision. I buy this thing. And I bought it. Within a week after I bought it, I found it was so practical. Traveling through Germany, Europe, doing business, making calls to the office. The office could call me. I could accomplish a lot of things wasn't in my imagination I could accomplish by just having that phone. I was so thrilled by it that I bought it within a few weeks. For each of my salesmen across Germany, I bought that phone. So I'm not a tree hugger. I don't deny technology, but I have one request. If a company develops a product, they have an obligation to make sure this product has no side effects, or at least will list these side effects to the customer and say, okay, you're going to have these side effects. Make your choice. You still want it or not. I mean, if I listen to some once in a while, I stopped 20 years ago to watch TV and read newspapers. Once in a while, I come across a TV ad or commercial somewhere, and they rattle down the side effects of a pharmaceutical product. Like I recorded one for my talk shows and for my seminars. I give workshops around the world up to recently before I was stopped by Corona. And these workshops last typically a day or a weekend. And these workshops, I cover like 50 subjects. Not all in one workshop, it's impossible, but I offer them. Anyway, so I took one of these commercials to show in a workshop to make people think twice. The commercial was 1/3 about the product and 2/3 of the time about rolling down the possible side effects. Jumping out of a skyscraper, committing suicide, kill your mother-in-law, lose your left eye or right eye, or whatever, they rattled down. And I listened to it and said, who the hell would use such a pharmaceutical product with all these risks involved? So I have nothing against new technologies, new gadgets, everything, as long as they are not harmful. And the industry has an obligation to find out before they sell it. Another example is, which I'll teach in one of my future shows here on Ten Talk, I will talk about water. One of my hobbies is that there's a water system out there called reverse osmosis water. I guess many of you use it, have it. It's the devil. And I will teach you why it is the devil. And I explain to you why. Because the industry does the craziest thing to make money and don't care the consequences for the human beings. That's the only way it's explainable what is going on by using this product. There's a big plan behind 5G, which comes down to control of this planet. I will talk in my next show, the second part, in which I explain to you that 5G has nothing to do with making a quick phone call. It has to do everything with controlling this planet. But that's a hidden agenda. I'll walk you through it. I'll offer it to you. And I always say I can be wrong. Okay? I can be wrong. You have to decide what I'm saying makes sense or not. I'll offer you quotes. I'll offer you resources where you can find out and back it up. But of course, keep in mind, they are not on primetime TV, but they're there. That's one good side of the internet, that you can find this information nowadays more than ever before. And there are hundreds and thousands of studies which prove that cell phones are dangerous and harm the human body. You may know or not know that nowadays, every third person on this planet is dying of cancer. Every third person, more so in the industrialized societies than in the third world countries. Every third person is dying of cancer, and the number is going up. It doesn't become less. It's going up, which means soon every second person will die of cancer. People predict every person will die of cancer down the road. Now, it's very interesting that this statistic about cancer started dramatically about 50 years ago. Now, 50 years ago is about that time when the Wi-Fi electromagnetic radiation moved up, and at the same angle, cancer moves up. Now, cancer itself has existed for millions of years. We know that there are findings of people who lived a long time ago, that some of them died of cancer, some of them. That's a reason which is called geopathic zones, about which I talk some other time, why some people died of cancer at this time. But that every second, third person, let's say every third person for now is dying of cancer, has never existed before. Interesting enough, the more electromagnetic radiation, the more Wi-Fi we came out with in our society, the more people died of cancer. Went parallel. Okay? That's a simple fact. That's a simple fact. It went parallel. And the armies were using electromagnetic radiation. And in this book, 5G, I recommend you to read, which I show on my website, Mr. Flynn knows what he's talking about because he was involved. And of course, some people like him and Barry Trower later regret what they have done and what the society and the army and their job pushed them to do. And they became aware and responsible. and they talk about it. The armies knew that 4G, 5G creates cancer. They knew it. They never talked about it, but they knew it. The 5G has different frequencies, and depending on which frequency you use, you can push a person easier to commit suicide or to have a heart attack or to develop cancer. Now, among people who know, they know, but nobody talks about it. So you have to make a decision which way you go. I made a decision 12 years ago. I was for 40 years in alternative medicine. For 40 years, alternative medicine was my hobby. More than a hobby, a passion. And then 12 years ago, when my first grandson was born, and I saw in what kind of problem he ended up with, I was not willing to take it. What the medical doctors did or said or do was nonsense. I have one show eventually which is called The Good and the Not So Good Doctors, where I talk about certain things in the medical field. So I decided to do something because I saw the situation of my newborn grandson, 6 months old at this time, had, among others, to do strongly with cell phones. And I went through a situation with cell phones myself. And then I woke up and said, okay, I have a responsibility. I have to find out what's going wrong here. Everybody laughed at me, and everybody, when I gave workshops and seminars, people looked at me, what the hell is he talking about? That's 12 years ago. And it took me about good 4, 6, 7 years before I saw that people were waking up. Looking back over the last 4 years, I can say a lot of people woke up and saw something is wrong here. A lot of them called me. I have sensations in my fingers. I have a heat. I have a heat on my head when I have the cell phones and so on and so forth. A lot of them came to me and asked me after then when they found out. So the first thing I developed was then a product not for business. I developed it for myself, and I dove in technology, which is basically called quantum physics. So all my products are based on quantum physics. So I developed a product to protect you from cell phones, from the problem of cell phones. You can still use a cell phone, but it doesn't have no harm on your body anymore. And I developed it, and I started to use it, and I saw the results, and I developed it better and further and longer and stronger, till I came out then with this product here, finally. I invented the idea of a check card, credit card to use for a cell phone. The thing is that size, it's $99. It's very thin. What you do is you take a cell phone cover, just put it in the cover like this, and put your cell phone in, and that's it. So you can use a cell phone, but it's not dangerous anymore. I know there are a lot of companies out there who claim something similar, and people bought all kinds of stickers and gadgets to put on their cell phones to make them harmless. I will not quote any company name, but over the last 10 years, I have researched dozens and dozens of products, and I can say confidently that 95% or more do not work. Work very little, do nothing really. You cannot be a bit pregnant or pregnant. You are pregnant or not pregnant. And either it protects you, it doesn't protect you. Now, one indicator I can tell you, if these people say, I stop electromagnetic radiation or I reduce it, you have an indicator that the people do not know what they're talking about. What the average person does not understand, if you want to make a cell phone call or use a Wi-Fi connection, you need electromagnetic radiation. Without this, you cannot have a cell phone. You need it. You need this technology to make a cell phone call. There's no question. So if somebody says, I block the electromagnetic radiation, excuse me, so what happens now? If you block it, you cannot make a cell phone call. So you're full of it. What is it you don't understand? You're trying to fool the people? So for years, I was only able to prove my technology through something which is called kinesiology or muscle testing, which I explain on my website. And I suffered a bit of that because, some people believe and trust kinesiology, and some people say, no, that's woo-woo, voodoo, whatever, and I respect that. So till 1.5, 2 years ago, I guess it was, I came across a institute in Austria, which is called BESA, B-E-S-A, B-E-S-A. And the BESA Institute offered to test my product scientifically and find out what I claim. Does it work or does it not work? And I said, wonderful. My day has come. I appreciate it. Please go for it. I gave them all my products, some 30 products, whatever the number was. And they were surprised because 30 products, you want to spend so much money? I said, yeah, I want to spend the money because I want to differentiate myself from people out there who commit fraud. I want that my customers who buy the product have an assurance from you guys that it works, that it does what I say it does. Because I didn't want to end up that somebody buys a product, uses it for years, suddenly develops brain cancer, and says, how come I had this protection? Because the person didn't know that the protection didn't work. He trusted the company. And the company may not even know themselves and have no way to prove it. So I said, I want the certifications. So they tested all my products and they certified them. I have, meanwhile, a library of about 2,000 pages of certifications. I guess somewhere around 2,000 pages. I haven't counted it for a long time, of all my products. So people can be sure they work. They do what I promised they work. That was very calming for me because I was not trying to find victims for my products. I have a mission here, and my mission and my job and my calling is to improve that planet and to put a certain stop to stupidity. I'm only allergic against stupidity, nothing else. This planet is too valuable, our children, grandchildren. They don't have a lobby. My children, my grandchildren don't have a lobby. Nobody fights for them. Nobody does something to protect them from these maniacs out there, from these psychopaths. We'll talk about psychopaths and some maniacs in the next show, in the next part 2. Because the industries are run by psychopaths who have no love, no ethics. They just want to make money and control the planet. Do I want to make money? Yes, of course. It's okay to make money. Absolutely. And if you have a product which improves the planet's condition, you're obliged to make money. You're obliged to promote the product. Like water, healthy water. I guarantee you 99% of the people who listen out to the show are dehydrated. You drank 2 gallons of water today, whatever. You're still dehydrated. Why? Because the quality of the water you drink is just poor. And I explain in my water show why that is the case and how to change that. So my big 2 themes are to improve the water condition on this planet and to improve the challenge of electromagnetic radiation. So the cell phone was the first step because everyone had a cell phone. And once I covered that and I achieved my goal, all of a sudden I ended up to have a small company producing those for friends, for left and right, small quantities. And it grew bigger and bigger. And I was surprised. If you would have told me 10 years ago, I have a company today with 30 products, which are, most of them have no comparison, no competition, I would have not believed it. Because for you to know, I never went to university or college. I left high school, and the world and good people I met were my teachers. And I was interested. How do you learn? You learn if you are interested. And if you keep asking the right questions, and if you keep thinking, I don't know everything, give me more. So I learned, I added. So this was then the first one I did. Now, I then developed something against Wi-Fi for the house and for different applications when you leave the house. We'll talk about this next show, not today. Today we'll leave it with the cell phone. So, and I am not a pessimist when I say these things you heard today. I'm an optimist. A pessimist wakes up in the morning and finds in everything something bad. The real optimist, not the fake optimist, the real optimist, he wakes up, he sees there's something going wrong. He finger points it, he confronts it, and he said, okay, let's do the right thing to make that go right. I'm an optimist. We'll find a solution. And I'm working on it with you, alone, by myself, with others. It doesn't matter. My ego is never involved with these things I'm doing. If you come to me tomorrow and find something better, I'll be happy to adopt it and to adapt it to my products or my company or to the workshops I'm giving. The workshops I'm giving, 80-90% has nothing to do with my products or my company, where I teach general findings. For example, the reasons why people sleep bad at nighttime. I nailed it down. Why? Or why tattoos are bad for your body and unhealthy. And I explain these things, which has nothing to do with business. I just want to get the information, the knowledge out there so people can look at it and say, does that make sense? Because you have always the obligation to ask yourself, whatever I tell you, does it make sense? And only go for it if you think it makes sense. And if you have questions, send me an email. Maybe call me, write me a letter, and ask me. People do this every day. I have average per day 50 phone calls and emails where people ask questions and want to have answers. All right, so I'm an optimist because I believe that with goodwill and good intentions, smart people will always find answers to problems and solutions. And the people who are against these ethical answers are always people who want to dominate this planet and to control it. And keep in mind, not everything which can be done should be done. And sometimes we have to say no, perhaps, and say, no, we're not going to do this anymore. It doesn't make sense. And let me read this disclaimer for legal reasons to you. There's no question. I'm not a doctor. I'm not trying to diagnose, recommend, or treat any illness or disease. The information is purely for educational purposes and represents my personal opinion. My statements have not been evaluated by the FDA or any official US institution. Products I or others may offer on the show are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. My products do not contain any materials that are magnetic, electromagnetic, radioactive, toxic, or corrosive. I have to say this for legal reasons to make sure that we're on the same page. The electromagnetic radiation on this planet is the worst thing mankind has ever confronted. Now, where do you have Wi-Fi? Wi-Fi you have in mobile phones, smartphones, Wi-Fi, smart meters, transmission towers, GPS, every monitor, every computer monitor, every tablet, every TV monitor has electromagnetic radiation. Microwave oven is the devil. Radars in cars. Nowadays, you have new radars in cars, which give you a signal if you move the lanes from one side to the other. But that's another Wi-Fi they put in your car. They don't ask you, they just do it. Electric cars, as I said, are the devil. Combustion chamber cars, trains, buses, airplanes, radars, solar systems. They're all negative. Problem is we cannot smell these frequencies. Only few people will feel it. Most of us don't feel it. And again, talking about other companies who make good products, I don't know the expression competitors. I don't know competitors. With 10 billion crappy people on this planet, crappy products on this planet, there cannot be enough 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 good products. And I cannot cover the world. And if another company makes great products, I'm happy. And sometimes I'll take these companies with great products with me on tour on my workshop tour and put them on stage. I don't know the expression competitor. I only know the expression other people, companies who make good products. We cannot have enough good products, and the market is big enough for everyone who has good intentions, no matter. Another piece of information, if you have a cell phone, the cell phone pulsates, okay? In a second, 217 pulses in a second through your body. In a day, 19 million times pulsates through your body. All right, my friends, we're getting close to our end. I appreciate you coming on my show today. And next week, we're going to hear more and we see more if you're interested in. And again, if you're interested in, go on my website and you see this product here. And that's all you need. It's guaranteed for 5 years. It's made in Germany. Oh, I forgot to tell you, all my products are made in Germany. My headquarters is in Germany, though I personally live nowadays most of the time in America. When COVID is over, I will be in Europe again much more than nowadays. So everything is made in Germany, and it's designed for you to protect you from the harmful electromagnetic radiation of cell phones. And what I discovered and developed for other areas of life to protect you, we'll do in the next show. All right? I appreciated you being with me, and I hope you dial in sooner or later again.